Are we live?
Ready, set, go, Trevor Gates.
Boom.
What's going on, brother?
How's it going, my dude?
Welcome to the NC Raw podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Let me just introduce this dude right here real quick. This is not something I normally do. Normally, I kind of just roll with it and allow the guests to introduce themselves and talk a little bit about who they are and why they're here and that sort of thing. But I just have to say that this kid right here, ladies and gentlemen, he is a true inspiration. I've known this guy for almost the entire time that I've lived here in Western North Carolina. He was one of the first dudes I met at school, and he became a very close friend, and he's been involved in all of the recovery work that I do, both on campus and in the community. He's a true friend. The dude is a warrior, man. So this is my dog, my brother. I absolutely love this kid right here, Mr. Trevor Gates.
How's it going, y'all?
What's happening?
Not much. Enjoying this sound of my voice.
Yeah, you sound pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I do. I don't sound as weird as I think I do.
Yeah. Go back and listen to the last podcast. So you were on the show. We did a podcast at SEC, and you told a little bit of your story.
Little blip.
And one of the things that I do is I try to be, I think that everybody deserves a seat at this table to share their story and share their experience and what they've been through and that sort of thing. But I try to be like very methodical as far as like the timing and when and how we book guests and that sort of thing. And I always want it to be like appropriately timed and have them on at the right time for both, them and for our audience. And that's why you're here tonight. We had talked in the beginning of NC Raw about getting you on, and we had conversations, and like I kept putting it off, and I didn't necessarily know why I was doing it.
Good thing now.
But we know why now, right?
Yeah. The universe revealed why.
The universe revealed why. And, like I said, I think that everybody deserves a seat at the table. Everybody's story is just as valuable as anybody else. Like, I want to have people from our community on the podcast. I don't want to have, the famous person from here or there. I'm looking to have, like, regular people from our community who are doing the work and who have the lived experience to share their story, share their message, and share what works for them when it comes to recovery and wellness and all that stuff. So with that being said, how did you end up in this room with me? Like, where do you come from? Where does Trevor Gates' story start?
Well, I have a pretty long and eventful story. I guess I'll start from a little blip of the beginning of my life. I started off with dealing with a lot of adversity. I was born with a lot of major health problems, one being a rare kidney disorder called nephrotic syndrome of the kidneys, which, to put it simply, makes the kidneys will work reverse. They'll get rid of the good stuff and they'll keep the bad stuff. And it causes kidney failure. It causes all sorts of major health problems. When it was discovered, it looked like my parents had beat me, and they were actually accused of it until they figured out that it was a kidney disorder, and it killed me twice. They had to revive me once in the ambulance and revive me once in the hospital. So that's what my parents were dealing with at the beginning of my life. And then turned out I had epilepsy as well. After a severe head injury, jumped off my porch playing Superman, knocked myself unconscious. I think the seizure started a year or so after that. So I was dealing with that, and I had a very rare nerve disorder called sensory integration disorder, where basically I don't feel right. Pun intended. I can't feel pain normally. what would be intense pain for someone would be maybe a sting for me. And I can't detect hot water or something that something's hot. So I can't tell if I'm hurt. And weirdly enough, I can't tell the difference between cold and wet, which is just weird. So I was dealing with all these health problems, very, very young age. So I was missing. I had to miss a lot of school for that, which put me behind. So I had to be in classes extra classes at my elementary school in Asheville to help me catch up, and they did a really good job. Asheville has a really good school system that really was able to help me, and I always had vision problems.
Did you know that you had vision problems at a young age?
Yeah, I didn't have. It wasn't this severe. It was like, they just thought it was average everyday bad vision that could be corrected with glasses. But I was constantly complaining that my glasses didn't help. So at a young age,
you were wearing glasses, or they gave you glasses,
mm-hmm.
but it didn't help.
Didn't help. I still couldn't see the board in class, and everybody just thought it was because I didn't want to wear glasses. So I was making up excuses. Like, yeah, totally. That's why I can't see the board.
Yeah.
But so go on.
And so in dealing with like the health issues at the same time as trying to figure out like what was going on with your vision and stuff like that, had to be extremely challenging for a young man, being so young, born with those health conditions, doing what you could, going to school, being involved in your family, that sort of thing. Like what were you into as a young man? Like what kind of things did you do? How did you kind of like learn, entertain yourself? How did you spend your time?
Well, I didn't mention this at first, but I've also had and have severe ADHD. So that factored into a lot of my issues I had at school. And so there wasn't many things that kept my attention that what I could really get into, because I couldn't sit down. But some of the few things that really kept my attention and was basically my therapy for many, many years was music, gaming, and music and gaming was the two big things.
Two things that you're still super into.
Still super
today.
into, yeah.
And we'll kind of get into that a little bit in your story. Before we get going too far, would like to take care of the housekeeping like we do every week. And the first thing we want to do is we want to recognize some individuals who are supporters of NC Raw, people who tune in every week and engage with us and talk with us, and recognize these folks for achieving recovery anniversaries and for doing the hard work and putting in the effort, day after day, week after week. So the first is another good friend of mine, man. Actually, both of these anniversaries are people who are very close to me, oddly enough. But another anniversary that we would like to share is somebody who I met about 30 days ago, about a month ago. And we just like hit it off. He's an awesome guy. He's a family man. When we met and we kind of started, he became like a spiritual friend, somebody who I meditate with regularly and who I talk with almost on a daily basis, a little bit here and there. Somebody that I'm super proud of. My man, Rob Smith.
Rob.
You know Rob.
I know Rob.
My man, Rob Smith, just hit 30 days.
30 days
in recovery today.
Yes.
So I'm super proud of Rob. He sent me that message this morning, and I just could not give him enough love. Dude, I'm so proud of that guy.
So proud of you, dude.
So fantastic job, Rob. Keep up the good work. You have my full confidence that you're going to crush it. And keep in touch, man. I absolutely love you, brother. The second recovery anniversary, this kid right here, man. I talk about how much I love you. I talk about how much I love Rob. This kid right here has been with me since day one, man. My little cousin, Kyle Lambert, he just hit 1 year in long-term recovery last week. And again, another dude that I'm just so proud of. He's doing amazing things. He's somebody like myself with this podcast. He's somebody that found his passion. I talked about a little bit about his story a few months ago. He's somebody that found his passion and found something that really drives him and motivates him to keep going. He just recently, within the last 6 months, became an apprentice at a tattoo shop, and he's doing tattoos now. He's always been into art and had that as a hobby, but he just, grew distant from it in his addiction and got back into it. He got back into it, I think, in the treatment center that he was at last October or last September of 2017. He started drawing in there, and when he got out, he just hit it hard. And he ended up landing a gig working the front desk at a tattoo shop, and sat up there and was just drawing and really created a relationship with the artist, who then approached him about becoming an apprentice. So it's just things like that, finding that thing, finding what it is that you're passionate about. Dude, I'm so proud of you, G. Kyle Lambert, 1 year in long-term recovery, bro.
Congratulations. I will gladly be a test subject for your
Dude,
tattoo practice.
He's doing them, man. Every single day I see on Instagram, my sister's husband, he's giving out free tattoos. So
I will take a free tattoo.
you got to get a Greyhound bus to Tampa, Florida, and he'll get you. He'll take care of you, Trevor. I promise you that.
I'll do that. He can do my dragon.
Yeah, he can do your dragon. So, we might make that happen, because me and you have been talking about getting you down to Florida, showing you some of that sunshine, haven't we?
Yeah, letting me burn up and melt.
We've been talking about it for a couple years. So, we want to follow this up by sharing and promoting community events that are taking place in our community. We want to inform you guys and educate you guys on things that are happening in our community that you can become a part of, that you can come out, show up. Most of the stuff we talk about are free. That you can come out and, get involved with. And the first event that I want to share is Down Home, North Carolina, an awesome organization. They're like an advocacy organization over in kind of the Waynesville area.
Love it.
They are hosting here in Sylva, North Carolina on Tuesday, November 13th, which is a week from tomorrow. They are hosting a Working on Mental Health and Addiction Forum. So that's Tuesday, November 13th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at 1233 Mockingbird Lane in Sylva, North Carolina. And I'll have to just confirm where that is, but I think that might be the library. Information is on Facebook. You can find it through us. You can find it through searching Down Home, North Carolina. They do have an RSVP link, because they just want to try to find out who and what will be there. But they're going to talk about all the things that we talk about on the show. They're going to talk about these things at a community level, from peer to peer, and find out what is happening in our communities and what we can do collectively to resolve some of these issues. So it says, join neighbors from all across the county as we talk about how to create solutions for our families regarding detoxing community support centers, more inpatient and outpatient, affordable treatment options, stronger communication across healthcare service providers, available public knowledge of treatment and service options that are out there, and reducing the stigma associated with substance use disorders and mental health disorders. So they're also offering transportation and childcare, right? So there's no excuses. You got kids, or you have transportation problems, all of that is taken care of. All you got to do is show the commitment and the will to show up. So you can contact Chelsea at Down Home, North Carolina. She has an email, chelsea@downhomenorthcarolina.org, or also via phone at 828-476-8189. And get involved. Again, that's 1 week from tomorrow, which tomorrow happens to be Election Day.
Get out there and vote. Vote, vote, vote.
So, again, this organization has done a lot of work regarding the election. They've done a ton of advocacy work. So like Trevor said, do your best to get out there, drop your vote. Coming up on November 7th, which is this Wednesday. Well, I'm going to keep promoting these every time they happen, but one of the huge things that we talk about so often on the podcast is one of the most important things to have in place when it comes to recovery is a job, right? A career.
A job.
So the Western North Carolina Career Expo is taking place on Wednesday, 2 days from today, November 7th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Western North Carolina Ag Center over in Asheville. It is Western North Carolina's largest career fair and recruiting event, right? They're going to have companies from all over Western North Carolina there. Holidays are coming up. All kinds of people are hiring. If you're looking to advance your career or if you're looking for a job, I would highly recommend going down there with a stack of resumes, looking fly, and talk to some folks, introduce yourself, and just kind of like create those relationships. So again, November 7th from 11 to 4 p.m. at the Western North Carolina Ag Center in Asheville, the Western North Carolina Career Expo. So come on down and check that out. Last but not least, Trevor Gates, we have a Christmas party planned.
Oh, yeah, Christmas party.
Christmas Eve, December 24th at 5 p.m. in this room right here. We are going to have, in this building, depending on how many people RSVP and plan to come, we might get the bigger room down the hall, the ballroom. But we're going to be having the first ever NC Raw Christmas party podcast. What that's going to look like, it's going to be us with our 4 microphones set up. We want to invite anybody and everybody from the community, your friends and your family, people who have been on the show, people who tune into the show, people who support us. We want you guys to come out. We're going to have kind of like a potluck thing. We're going to provide some food, and we are going to play some Christmas music, drink some eggnog and some peppermint tea, and we're going to build those relationships and talk about recovery and talk about wellness and support each other through the holidays. That's on Christmas Eve. We do have an event set up on our Facebook page where you can get on and check it out. We definitely want to invite anybody and everybody. We know that the holidays can be a difficult time for many people in recovery, myself included. You know, I'm up here all by myself. My family is 700 miles away. I'm going to be spending the holidays alone. So thankfully, I have a support system in place. And if you don't have a support system in place, you do, because NC Raw is here to support you. So totally come on out to that and have a good time with us. You know, we're starting it off a little bit early. We're starting it off at like 5 p.m. Excuse me. We're starting off at like 5 p.m. so people can come and go as they please. You don't have to stay for the whole 2 or 3 or 4 or however many hours it goes on. We're not putting it in time. We're going to start at 5 o'clock. We're going to sit down behind the mics and go as long as we need to. So everyone is invited to that. Next Monday night, our next Monday night's podcast. Next Monday night is, what is it? Do you know what it is? You threw a big event last year for this, man. You hosted a big event.
Veterans Day.
Next Monday is Veterans Day. And so we do have an awesome dude coming on the podcast to talk with us, who I will disclose a little bit later. But I wanted to announce, because I think that this is just an awesome act of service that somebody could do. I wanted to announce that Chef Stage over at the Cherokee Casino, they're the buffet restaurant out there. Been there a couple times. I went with Caleb once. They are offering to all military service veterans, active military, anybody that has proof of service is invited to Chef Stage at the casino between noon and 10 p.m. for a free meal.
Oh,
Dude, this food is the bomb, bro. This food is amazing. So
I know where me and my dad are going.
I know you got some veterans in your circle. So, but I wanted to announce that to anybody and everybody because the food is amazing. And they're offering that to all veterans and people of service. All you got to do is have any sort of ID. So, hit up Chef Stage and get you some free meal, man. Me and Caleb, we go on Sunday nights. They have like crab legs and seafood deal. We tore it up, bro. We've talked about it a lot on the podcast. So
now I'm hungry.
Yeah, we didn't eat tonight, did we?
No.
So as we progress through the show, we're going to kind of talk about some things that are going on with you, Trevor, and some just beautiful opportunities that you've been blessed with. And I wanted to announce to our live audience and people who might be tuning in. Announced last week that our engineer and producer Courtney has moved to Tennessee, and so like I am a one-man show operating and doing all this stuff behind the scenes and editing and all that. So we are not monitoring Facebook Live. I'm not watching it. I cannot see your comments. I do not know what's happening. But if you do have a question for Trevor Gates, if there's something pressing that you want to know about his story or something that we're talking about, you can send me a private message on Facebook on Messenger, and I will be sure to get that to Trevor. I'm just not watching the Facebook because I have too many moving parts, too many things in front of me to keep my eyes on that. And I think that takes away from the conversation that we're having. So again, if you have any questions, for Trevor Gates or anything that you want to ask him or hear from him, just shoot me a message. My name on Facebook is Steven Steen. That's with a PH, Steven Steen. And I will be sure to ask Trevor. So
ask away.
Ready, bro?
Let's do this.
So the beginning of the show, you talked, you were born with, go ahead and let's like reset that. You were born with some health conditions.
Mm-hmm. I was born with a rare kidney disorder called nephrotic syndrome. It killed me twice. They had to revive me. I was born with a nerve disorder. I don't feel pain normally, and I can't tell if something's hot or something's cold, the difference between cold and wet. Had severe ADHD, and I was also epileptic for most of my young life. It's been in remission for the past 10 plus years, but yeah, and had vision problems from the get-go. It was nowhere near this bad. It just seemed like it was regular everyday vision problems.
And was it began to progress? Like at what point in your studies and your young life did it, like, your vision drastically change?
It drastically changed in the middle of my teenage years. Mm-hmm. It got extremely worse, and it's when I finally had to like there's two points where I can remember where it got extremely worse. It got extremely worse around 4th grade, 5th grade, and then it got extremely worse around the ages of 15 to 16, and just to the point where I couldn't see the board. I couldn't see the teacher's face from too far away, and everything was starting to get harder. Not as hard as they are now. I could still walk around and not run into a wall or a person or anything else.
At what point in your life did you realize that, like, that your vision was at poor as it truly is, like that your vision wasn't normal, that the things that you were experiencing were much more extreme than the average kid who has to wear glasses?
I realized that in probably 4th, 5th grade. I realized that, okay, other kids have glasses and they can see, but they're not having to get large print, everything. They're not having to put something to their face this close, you know. They don't have to sit super close to their TV to see it. they can lay down in their bed and watch TV and not have to be close to it and stuff like that. They don't have to sit in the front of the classroom to see the board, but they have glasses, and so do I. So around that age, around 4th, 5th grade, I started realizing that something was different about my experience.
Yeah, and you also mentioned that you suffered from some pretty severe ADHD and other mental health issues, correct?
Yes.
At what age did kind of that begin? Was that kind of taking place around the same time?
Yeah, I was diagnosed with ADHD pretty young. I think about 5 or 6, and it was clear that a lot of kids were diagnosed with ADHD because that's just what doctors were doing.
Yeah.
Was you got ADHD, you got ADHD, you get a star, you get a star. But I did. I had ADHD severely with the anger issues, not being able to sit down, the racing thoughts. Oh my gosh, the racing thoughts. And actually, because of the anger issues that come along with it, I actually got taken away from my parents for a week and got put in copestone.
Because of your behavior?
Yeah, because of my behavior, my outburst. Probably one of my most scarring memories from my childhood was, do you know what the blanket method is?
I don't know if I do.
It's where, especially with kids with ADHD, it's where they would, to get a control, they would wrap them in a blanket so they couldn't kick or punch and whatnot. And the teachers would usually do this. And a lot of controversy came from it because some kids were being smothered to death on accident.
Mm-hmm.
And I had that done to me, and I remember it being the most scarring thing. Scary. The only person who could calm me down, who had to come to the school, was my father. He's the only person who could handle me.
What happened? Like, what were you doing that?
I'd try to fight them.
Fight who?
The teachers.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd flip my lid and try to punch theirs.
Uh-huh.
And I was a mean little schnat.
Why do you think that is?
Because I had a lot of emotions that I didn't know how to deal with.
Yeah.
A lot of racing thoughts that wouldn't quit. A lot of things going on that people didn't understand. Like, the kidney disorder, the missing class because of it, and then not being able to I wasn't able to do things that a normal kid got to do. I don't know how to ride a bike because I never got to ride one. Because with the kidney disorder, I had to have a permanent IV port in my chest. I don't know if the camera can see me, but right here there's a scar. And that's from the permanent IV port. And they had to give me this medicine through it every day to control it. And so, I couldn't go out and play much. I was stuck in my room. And that was a lot of things that was really probably fueled the ADHD and the anger with all that stuff going on that I didn't understand why it was happening to me because I was just a kid.
Yeah. And growing up and through those years, did you ever develop any skills to learn to cope with those kind of emotions and things, or was it not until your later years? Or
I had things that helped. Video games. Video games was my therapy.
Hobby number one.
Yeah. Spyro the Dragon, not number one favorite because that's what my parents bought me because I couldn't go outside and play because I had that IV port. They bought me a PlayStation 1 and Spyro the Dragon.
That Spyro game's about to come out, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. I want to play that so badly.
Yeah, I see you getting fired up about it.
It's silly that a video game, that specific video games in general are very important to me, but that specific video game is really, really close to my heart.
Yeah. So I'm asking you this, man. We were talking a couple weeks ago when you received this news that we're going to talk about on the podcast tonight. And I think one of the things that I asked you in that conversation was, what's one of the first things that you're going to do when you get your vision back?
Mm-hmm.
And you gave me two answers. but I think those might be a little bit different right now.
Yeah.
You learn how to ride a bike, man?
I mean, I can't ride a bike with these glasses on
Why
because
not?
I got no peripheral with them.
Okay. So we'll get into how that works a little bit later. All right.
No peripheral. Smack tree.
Do you remember what the two things you told me you wanted to do?
Not exactly.
You don't remember?
No.
You said you wanted to learn how to play guitar
Oh, yeah.
and you wanted to learn Spanish.
Exactly, yeah.
And I was like, bro, you could do both of those right now. Why you don't have
Just
to
be
wait?
easier to see.
Yeah, that's true. I get that, but those aren't things that are holding you back. Those aren't things that your vision is keeping you from.
Oh, no, not at all. It would just be so much easier to do with vision.
Yeah, for sure. And so growing up, I mean, this is North Carolina Recovery Always, NC Raw. We talk about various pathways to recovery from substance use disorders, mental health issues, things like that. And growing up, you kind of were, you experienced some substance use disorders indirectly,
Mm-hmm.
right? And,
My mother.
Yeah, and so like, I feel, I don't even know what to say, but I feel having to cope with your own personal mental health struggles, having to cope with your physical issues that you were born with, and then the vision, and then the stuff at home with your family, and the substance use, that the indirect substance use. That's a lot for a young man to deal with, to cope with, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Like what did you do? How did you view these things that were taking place in your life? Like, how did you look at them, especially in comparison to the way that you see them now?
Well, specifically like with my mother and her battles with addiction and alcoholism. When I was old enough to understand that what was happening was a problem.
So when did that happen?
Around the age, I think it was middle school, so I was like probably 13, 14 years old when her liver started to really suffer, and they told her she was going to have some problems with it. And see, I never knew until things got really bad that my mother had a substance use issue, because she was using and she was drinking, but she was there.
She was present in your life.
Mm-hmm. She was present for the she held it together. I mean, for someone that drank independently from the age of like 11 until until she was 40, she held it together.
Yeah. And so many people do, man. Many people do. I mean, I did for all of those years. I had a job. I went to work. I paid my bills, I was miserable in here.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to live, and that's how I lived. So at what age was it that you began to question?
Around 13, 14
And
years
how old was she at this time?
She was like, I would say, well, she's 45 now. I would say she was 30-something, maybe 38, 39.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, around that age.
And what happened?
The doctors told her that she was, that her liver was starting the early stages of suffering from excessive drinking, because she had been drinking for years and years of her life. I mean, they used to put beer in her baby bottle when she was a kid, and so it was starting to really affect her liver, and she was having some health issues because of it. And that's the first time I ever was introduced to this idea that my mother had a problem. And still right then I didn't consider her an alcoholic. I saw an alcoholic as what you would see on TV. Like getting flat out wasted, partying every day, You know, that type of stuff, what you see on TV.
Yeah.
That's what I considered an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Because
what society tells you an alcoholic looks like.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward, good few, like around the age of 15, 16, when it really became a problem, and my mother had to go into rehab the first time. And they classified her as an alcoholic, I was like, what? That's bullcrap. My mom's not an alcoholic. She might have a beer or two a day, but she's like never been drunk around me once. So I didn't, I was like, what? That's bull. And I was still like totally not buying into that she had a problem.
It was news to you.
Yeah, it was news to me. From my pre-programmed idea of what an alcoholic was, what a person with a substance abuse problem was, didn't match up to what the image of my mother.
And so what did you do?
I just denied it. Like,
did.
Bull crap. I don't know what they're talking about.
And what did she do?
She did the same thing.
Yeah.
She did the same thing. And it didn't click to me that she had a problem until they told her the first time, either you stop drinking or you're going to die. And I still didn't have a clear idea of how she could be counted as an alcoholic until I got into the human service program. Then I really started to understand it.
But when the doctors gave her that news of you need to change your life,
mm-hmm.
or else,
I was like,
you're facing severe consequences.
I was like, whoa, what?
You took a step back and really
mm-hmm.
began to look at the situation a little bit differently.
Yeah, it was a shocker. I was like, okay, well.
What were you, about 14, 15?
Yeah, 15, 16,
15.
something like that.
So still in high school.
Still in high school.
What was high school life like for you with all this stuff going on at home? That's right around the same time that your vision
also deteriorated.
Severely deteriorated
mm-hmm.
from what it was as a young man. Now, did you ever have a diagnosis from a doctor about your vision? Like, did you know that?
They totally missed it.
So you didn't know that it was good. Like, there was no diagnosis that it would gradually get worse. Like, they thought, put a set of glasses on him.
He'll be good. Send him on his way.
He'll be
Pat
okay.
him on the back.
And 10, 15 years later, when you're 15, 16 years old, what happens?
Vision's getting worse.
What happens?
I am struggling in school at that time, really struggling. I had a terrible problem with asking for help. There was more than just my vision. I was having pride problems. I was having so many emotional problems surrounding my disability because in middle school, I'm going to back it up just a bit. In middle school, you see, I went to elementary school for the most part in Asheville, which had a great support system for kids that needed extra help. They didn't just shove them into special ed. But then I came over here to Jackson County when I moved back, and I went to Cullowhee Valley. And Cullowhee was not equipped to assist a visually impaired kid that didn't exactly know that he was visually impaired. I was struggling in the classes through most of the first part of my 6th grade year, and they came to me and said, we're going to switch your classes, and they shoved me into special ed because they had no supports. I told them I can't see. They just thought I want to read, and that was an excuse. And ironically, because of that, I fell really behind in my reading because they weren't giving me any help with my vision. So the thing that they thought was the problem became a problem because they didn't give me support for my actual problem.
Well, yeah, because you couldn't see. So regardless of what you're studying and the rate that you're studying, it's still not gonna.
Yeah,
it's still not gonna solve the problem. You're still gonna struggle because you can't see what you're
doing.
What you're doing.
Exactly. So I would So they shoved me into special ed, and I was in there for most of sixth grade and most of seventh until a very, very special person came into my life. Her name is Amber Israel. She was a fresh out of WCU graduate special ed teacher who was the first person to really believe in me. Like if she's listening, thank you so much for everything you ever did, because I wouldn't be here without you.
And knowing you personally, knowing you the way that I know you, she saw something in you.
She did.
She knew that there was more to you than the quote unquote story that she was told about you, right? She saw something in you.
She realized I wasn't meant to be in there.
Yeah.
And I was floundering. I was slipping through the cracks the longer I was there.
And what action did she take?
She went above and beyond the Call of Duty. There's her Call of Duty. There's not a college class that could have taught her what to do for me. Most of them would just have gone on about their way and allowed me to stay there and collected a paycheck. She went above and beyond, and she started tutoring me.
Like kind of like off the record type tutoring, like, or spending additional time with you, one-on-one time. She
switched up the schedule of how she my lessons and the other kids. So whenever the other kids were at lunch or at recess, she'd be catching me up on where I should be. She'd teach me my lessons one-on-one. And then when the kids came in for their lesson, I'd get to go out and play at recess. She put so much work into getting me out of those classes. She advocated for me to get the IQ tests and all the other tests you need to take to prove that you don't need to be in special education classes, and even down to socialization. She saw one thing that's a major thing that she did is she saw that because I was in those classes, I wasn't getting to interact with kids my age. So until she was able to negotiate me getting to at least go into the regular classes to sit for a class or whatnot to get used to being around kids my own age, she got her now husband and father of her kids to come and hang out with me. He was this really cool, laid-back hippie dude who would come, and she introduced me to him. She's like, "You want to go play some basketball with him?" Yeah, of course. So I got to play. He would come and play basketball with me while the other kids were in doing their work, and I was outside and playing. He talked to me. He talked to me about life. He was such a crucial person that walked in my life along with her, because no one was there for me to talk to, for me to bounce ideas off of, bounce beliefs off of. And that turned out to be a test. She actually used me to see if he was marriage material.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
When did you find this out?
I found this out when we reconnected. She found me on Facebook.
Yeah, okay. I was going there.
And
so you went on and did your thing, and you graduated, and we'll get into that a little bit, but 10 years later?
10 plus years later, she finds me on Facebook. And I didn't remember her last name. I think I didn't remember her name at all, so I saw a friend request from an Amber, and I'm like, I don't know who this is. And she had messaged me and said that, and introduced who she was. I was like, oh my gosh. I had told people for years about her, how she was such an influence on my life. And now she's on my Facebook, and we're in contact, and hopefully I'll get to, when she comes back to North Carolina, I'll get to see her and meet her kids. And yeah, she's a very special person.
Imagine what your life would be like had this person not invested that time, that effort, that love and compassion that she did. Like that's what's missing, right? Those are the opportunities. Like that's what it takes to change culture in our community.
Got to believe in people.
Yeah. So did you, like, you graduated from her class and you went on still in this program, or
she got me completely into the regular,
back into normal everyday schooling?
Yep. And she got me out. She got me the test I needed, and because if I would have stayed in there, I wouldn't have received a diploma.
Now, did they make any changes to like the glasses that you wore, or
all the time?
Nothing worked.
Nothing worked.
Mm-hmm.
I would keep complaining that I still can't see. I would have glasses on. I mean, you've seen me. I had just a couple of years ago. I was wearing glasses, and I still had my phone right in my face.
Dude, you were wearing glasses up until like a year ago.
Yeah.
And you still had your phone to your face. You still had all your books on ebooks on your tablet. Like you could not see the projector in class.
None of it.
So you graduated. Like, moving on into high school, and this is by no means like, I just really want to preface this by saying, like, this is by no means like shedding any negative light on Jackson County school system or anything like that. Like, this is, it's a challenging issue that you dealt with and grew up with. So
exactly. I hold no hard feelings.
No hard feelings, but
the school system.
You went on to high school and like struggled to get through, but you graduated. Like, did they have any type of accommodations to help you?
Some here and there. I had an IEP, and how you say that, the when you have a plan of support. I forget what the acronym is. And they had more support than the middle school did, but it still wasn't super adequate. I wasn't prepared for college. Really, honestly, if things would have went the way that the doubters in my journey and the people that didn't believe in me thought it would, you would have never met me, because I wouldn't have been in college. I was in the occupational course of study at Smoky Mountain High School, which is what it sounds like. They get you ready and train you for the workforce, which didn't work because I had a disability that the jobs they wanted me to do, I couldn't do.
Yeah.
They wanted me to.
Yeah, I've heard some horror stories from your the work that you did.
Yeah.
Your employment.
Employment.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So I went through that program, and I want to do another shout out. I wouldn't have made it through graduation if it wasn't for another person. And I hope he's watching, but Bob Reed. Bob Reed was a choir teacher and band teacher at my school. He was the biggest support. I tell you, in my journey, the right people got thrown in my path when I needed them. When I didn't believe in myself at all, the universe threw the right people there to push me along to the next part. He was the biggest support. He listened when I talked, and he gave me the solos to build my confidence, and he was just awesome. But he's Bob.
That guy's still supporting you.
He's still supporting me.
He's still showing you love, right?
To this day, he's one of the most supportive people I've ever met. He's awesome. I love Bob. He gave to me trying to achieve this wonderful opportunity. He gave more than he needed to, more than he should have.
For the folks who are tuning in, let's just go ahead and say it, and then we'll kind of cover it a little bit later as we progress through your story. But what is that opportunity that you've been given?
Okay, I've been waiting for this.
We just went for like almost an hour, and we haven't
even talked about it.
Yeah, come on.
Okay, here it comes. So I have the opportunity to get my hands on this amazing piece of technology called Eastside Eyewear. These glasses are designed to bring the severely vision impaired their vision back. And I got to try them on. They worked. I saw 20/20 people, 20/20 and better just with these glasses. Just with these glasses, I was able to see a person's face, their eye color, a Mountain Dew bottle 10 feet away from me.
And you didn't, you hadn't done that in how long? You hadn't been able to see that clear in how long?
Absolute years. Like 10 plus more years. Even when I could see, I still couldn't see people's eye color.
Yeah.
I couldn't see that well, even when I could see people. And it was incredible. Incredible. If you listen to the video, I'm crying in it.
Okay. You want to go ahead and play the video?
Let's do it.
All right, let's play the video.
Watch this, guys.
This is like a 1.5 minute long video. This is the very first time that Trevor put these glasses on. This is the first time that Trevor put the glasses on. This is your reaction.
This is my initial reaction.
Your initial reaction to reading something off of your phone in 20/20 vision for the first time.
At normal distance.
Normal distance. From looking into a woman's eyes and being able to identify her eye color. Shall we do it?
Let's hit it.
Let's hit it.
Oh.
Can you see those and read those?
Calendar. Oh. How convenient. End of first semester classes. Whoa.
When was the last time you read a calendar?
10 plus years ago.
Again, what do you think of these glasses?
Mind blowing.
And how do you think these are going to benefit you?
It'll give me some freedom I haven't had. I'll be able to see my mother's face again.
What about with school?
This will take away some of the constant struggle. This will mean I'll be able to actually see the teacher.
How does that make you feel?
Like I've just been introduced to a new world that I haven't known for a while. A long, long, long while.
Would you like to get these glasses?
I'd love to get these glasses. I think I need these glasses. I know I need these glasses.
Okay.
It's quite overwhelming.
Yeah.
I thought I'd never be able to have anything to do with the visual world again. And I know we're going to talk about this eventually, but
We're back. Go ahead.
I see life as like an MMA fight. There's multiple rounds. And at times I'm winning and my stamina's up. I'm good. I'm going. I'm a warrior. But there's also times where I've been beat down and the ref has almost had to stop.
Yeah, but you're like the Trevor that I know, man. Like since I've known you, you've always been up for the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you always have been up for the challenge. You've always been eager to put in the effort. You've always been eager to prove the people who doubted you wrong.
That was my motivation
Right, like,
for years.
Your pride has consistently, like from an outsider looking in, like your pride and your passion and your drive, like your dedication in school, all of those things. It's just it's so respectful and so responsible for somebody your age and somebody who's been through what you've been through to continue to just to have that attitude, you know, consistently. It's I didn't have it. I did not have it. So we played the video. At the top of the live stream, there's a link that tells your story.
Mm-hmm. In full length.
In full length, in your own words. And there's a little button to help contribute to your efforts and to what you're trying to do.
These glasses cost $8,000. Oh, already raised.
Go ahead.
I've already raised $2,100 hundred and something dollars, like $110. And I need y'all's help. I need the peeps' help. I need my supporters' help, because I tell you all, I'm going to level with you. I know you're not all in the room with us right now, but this is something I really need. I want to see the world again. I want to see my friends sitting right here again. I want to see my mother's face again. And it might sound dorky, it might sound pointless, but I want to play a game and actually be able to see it again.
A video game.
A video game, exactly. So if you please donate. I will appreciate and love whatever you can do. If you can donate, if you can share, you rock.
So let's wind back a little bit and let's get into, we were talking about your early struggles, and we were talking about those few people, those Bob Reeds, and what was the other woman's name?
Amber.
Those Ambers and those Bob Reeds that
And Mrs. Doherty.
saw you for the person that you were, and that showed you that attention, right? And really worked with you. Graduated high school, and you wanted to go to college, pursued college. Like, how did that?
I wanted to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't super. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like the classic kid coming out of high school. I didn't know what direction I wanted to go in life. I didn't know what I wanted to be. But I had a significant event happen where one person didn't believe in me, said one sentence to me, and I knew from that moment that I was going to do everything I could to go to college, because I already had the want to. But before this happened, I just wanted to go to college because that was the thing you did, you know. That was my mindset. I didn't have a direction. But this person, when I told him, it was a lady in the school system. When I told her that I wanted to go to college, her replies to me were, "I don't think that's a good idea. You couldn't handle it. You couldn't survive." And I said, "But I'm going to." She said, "I think that'd be a really stupid idea." And right then I was like, well, now I'm going to do it.
Light that fire, baby.
Exactly.
To prove them wrong. And so you did that. And what was the transition like, having struggled visually in middle school and high school, having no resolution to this
barely
problem,
any support,
no limited support? What did you do? How did you get, like, how did you start that process, and what happened? And had you already, at what point did you, like, begin to really, like, see what was happening at home too with your mother's substance use? And, like, had that happen before you went to college? Was it
with the main incident with my mom?
Mm-hmm.
That happened before, yeah.
In high school?
In high school.
So what happened?
Well, she had been to rehab a second time, and it didn't work that go around. And she was still drinking, and one night she fell out, and we had to call the ambulance. She wasn't responsive, and they took her to the hospital, and the doctors put her on life support, and they told us that the next 12 hours to come were going to be crucial, because they didn't know if she was going to wake up. And I was pretty sure that I'd lost my mother.
And how old were you?
I was 18.
Getting ready to graduate from high school.
Getting ready to graduate from high school. I cried and cried and cried, bro. Like, I was pretty certain that I was going to be burying my mother before I walked the stage.
And you were in the hospital room with her.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you do?
Well, my dad had went to go get me and him some change of clothes and something to eat. So I got the opportunity to sit with my mom while she was on life support. And I held her hand and I looked around and noticed that no one was there to hear me. And I started talking. And I said, Mom, I know you can't hear me. And I don't know if you're going to be able to hear me again, ever again. But if you can hear me at all, please don't go. Don't go now. I still need you here. I'm not ready for you to leave. You haven't seen me walk the stage. You haven't seen me graduate college. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to graduate college. You have to be there for that. And you haven't seen me have kids. You're going to have grandkids one day. And I need you here. Please don't go. And sorry. And during it, she had actually woken up.
Yeah. Leading up to this point, she had been pretty unresponsive.
Mm-hmm, pretty unresponsive. And in the middle of my really emotional, tear-filled plea to her, she had woken up. She was able to hear me, but she didn't let on to it. She just sat there and listened to me. And until I got to the end, I wasn't saying anything. I was just crying. And she squeezed my hand and said, I'm going to be here. One of the things, right before that happened, the thing I said to her was, please fight this. I can't fight this. If this was a person, they wouldn't be hurting you. I can't fight this for you. And right then, she grabbed my hand and said, I'm going to be here.
And she made a recovery.
4 years sober. Probably close to 4.5 now. Congratulations, Mother. I love you so much. She fought like hell.
And that lit a fire in you.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing her go through that.
I knew from that day that I wanted to make sure that no other person, I know that's unrealistic, but I want to make sure that fewer and fewer people had to sit there and watch their loved one be ripped away from them by forces they couldn't stop themselves.
What'd you do?
I found my calling, and I didn't know about the human service program. At first, it wasn't a well-known program when I came in.
Yeah, let's unwind that a little bit. You wanted to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
And you had that like experience with somebody who told you that you weren't, air quotes, equipped to be a college student,
Yeah.
right? Which motivated you. And then you had this situation with your mother that also motivated you to take action and move forward and be of service. And you enrolled.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't in this field immediately. Is that correct? Like you started studying what?
I started just doing general ed.
General ed.
I thought about being a teacher. I wanted to teach music. I wanted to teach history. Bounce around ideas. And didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to help people. I didn't know what or how, where to start. And then a friend of mine had found the human service program. She was going in it. So when I read about it, I decided, let's go do an interview and see if I get in, And I did.
So prior to that, you were kind of undecided. You were just
fairly undecided.
Working on your general ed. Were you doing well in those classes? Were you struggling because of your vision at that point?
I was struggling, and actually ran in before I got to the human service program. I actually ran into some pretty significant bumps in the road that nearly made me drop out. Mm-hmm. I had to take developmentals to begin with to get that foundation built up in reading and math. because I couldn't write a paper to save my life, and 2 + 2 equaled fish to me. And I had failed or didn't pass the first time I took developmental English. I just didn't connect with the teacher, and I was told at that time by my that maybe college wasn't for me. And walking down the halls crying, it was just another bit of fire. I wasn't gonna stop there. So I got remotivated. Then another bump in the road. This time it was another incident with my mother. She's okay with me saying this. My mother was brutally raped by a man we thought was a family friend. I didn't know him, and an unknown man. She was brutally raped and brought back to our house. She had went out uncharacteristically went out after we almost lost my niece because she was born with some major problems. And I was almost out for the count there. And that was probably one of the hardest things because I blamed myself for a long time because I was the closest one to the bedroom where the door was, front door, and I didn't wake up. I used that to blame myself. I broke. I completely broke mentally. I wasn't there for her as emotional support. She had to be there for me. That I beat myself up about that for a long time because here she was, the one that was hurt, but she's having to pick me up because I'm the one that crumbled. And around that time is when my depression got really, really bad.
And you had dealt with depression for most of your life, and specifically your adult life.
Yeah, it started in middle school.
And then this event led to a heavy levels of shame that really catapulted that depression. And all these people telling you that you couldn't do it, you couldn't go to college, and you struggled to see. And it was kind of like the buildup, and then that's what you were left with, is that extreme level of depression. What did you do?
I trucked on for as long as I could and contemplated suicide a lot. Then I got into the human service program. I bet you could say that when I started the human service program, we were in that first class together. I'm quite a bit different than I was then.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, man. I can remember that first day that I met you in class. I think it was my second semester. I started a semester before you, and just quiet, reserved, disengaged, not involved, just kind of like doing your own thing, you know? And I was in early recovery at that time too, and I was like really trying to figure out like who I was and what this life, what of recovery would be, and what it would look like, and dealing with some things at home and relationship stuff. And there's no doubt about it that you're not the same person that you were that day. When I see you in class today, you're involved, you're engaged, you check on our classmates, you hold yourself to one of the highest standards of anybody that I know in the program. And yeah, I'm just so proud of you for.
I'm living life.
But
now.
you've done all the work, man. You have done all the work, right? Like you found something that relates to you. You found something that resonates with you and connects with you, and you've embraced it and you've worked with it and you've really put in that intentional effort to better yourself since you started this, right? Since you started this pathway or this approach, these practices, right? You've been involved in it since the beginning. So at what point did you roll into the human services program, you went through the traumatic experience with your mother. At what point did your vision really start to deteriorate rapidly? And what were your grades like, and how did you because at SCC, at the community college level, one of the most amazing things about that school is the level of resources that are available to students. So all those all those barriers that you ran into in middle school and in high school, they had a remedy for.
Oh,
right,
yeah.
at SCC. But until you found all of those resources or until you discovered all those resources and began to take advantage of them, could you imagine, how do you write a 7-page paper without being able to see, without being able to type?
And not having the proper education to do that.
Leading up to that. Yeah, leading up to that. How do you proofread and all that stuff? So what was that progression in that learning environment like?
It feels like it took forever, but in all honesty, it took, from the moment I stepped into the human service program, it took off like a rocket. I had the support of Southwestern Community College with their magnificent student support services, disability services. I got the material in a way that I could actually absorb the information. I got the test put in a way where I could actually take it. I got extra time. Every issue I had, they had a solution for. And my vision wasn't even as bad as it is now then. And they were doing a phenomenal job. My vision, I would say, you see, I did a really bad move. And I didn't go back to the eye doctor for 4 years. After one time in the 11th grade, I didn't go back for 4 years. So around my second semester.
Did you not go back because you doubted their capabilities in correctly diagnosing your issues because of all the negative past experiences and lack of resolutions and lack of answers for so many years?
I just didn't feel like it would help.
But your vision drastically changed.
Oh, yeah. My vision deteriorated rapidly in that short amount of time. Last year, when I went back to the eye doctor for the first time to get checked, because my vision was getting worse. They said that it was absolutely incredible how much it deteriorated in that short little window.
Of 3 years?
Of 3 years,
And what did they suggest? Or what was
They had no recommendations.
So again, we got bad news. Your vision has rapidly declined, but we don't necessarily know why or how or have a remedy for it.
Exactly. And I asked the question, am I going blind? We don't know. It's actively deteriorating though. So they sent me to doctors and doctors upon doctors. I went to even some of the best at Duke University, who still couldn't figure out why this was happening, why my vision was deteriorating. They eventually figured out that it is a genetic problem, a genetic variant of I can't say this word, macular degeneration. It's a weird variant of it where basically macular degeneration, it starts.
What's it called?
I can't say the word. Macular degeneration.
Macular degeneration?
Yes.
And what is it?
Basically, it's a problem with not the eyeball. It's a problem with the brain itself. And it starts to take your vision like this. It starts to go in, it takes your peripheral, and then it just zeroes in. Mine was weird. Mine was doing that, but I had terrible vision in the center also. Usually someone with this condition will have clear vision looking straight ahead, but I didn't. I couldn't see close up or close or far away. That's basically what they have told me. It's similar to a variant of that. That's the closest thing to a diagnosis they've been able to give me.
So I just wanted to see like what it said about it. Macular degeneration is the leading cause of vision loss, affecting more than 10 million Americans, more than cataracts and glaucoma combined. It's considered an incurable eye disease. It's caused by the deterioration of the central portion of the retina, the inside back layer of the eye that records the images we see and sends them via optic nerve from the eye to the brain. The retina's central portion, known as the macula, is responsible for focusing central vision in the eye, and it controls our ability to read, to drive a car, recognize faces or colors, and see objects in fine detail. Wow. And even after all that, they said they think it's a variation of that. They don't necessarily know that is.
That's what it is.
What it is.
Yeah, they don't know. They said it's basically acted like that, but the eyeball itself is healthy.
Yeah. And so getting this news, an incurable disease, right? Basically having a doctor, some of the best eye doctors at Duke University,
Scratching their heads
and ultimately telling you that you'll never be able to see again, right?
Right, basically. Or if they weren't sure if it was going to completely go away, but they couldn't, they wasn't going to come back, that's for sure.
How did you handle that news, man?
It was a really big hit. It was a really, really severe hit because now it was all in, it was all put out there on the table, and I'd known I was visually impaired. I knew that. I knew I was starting to have major trouble getting around.
But leading up to that, because you didn't have that like severe diagnosis, severe news, like you were always like accepting it, dealing with it, working on resourceful ways to live with this problem.
Exactly.
And then once you receive this news that, hey, it ain't looking good, man, there's not much we can do about it.
Yeah. We don't even know exactly what the problem is still. We're just saying it's kind of acting like this.
We think it's a variation of this.
But your eyeball's healthy, but it's still going, but it's going like this.
How did you keep going, man?
I leaned on people.
Yeah.
I used my supports. I meditated like crazy.
The supports, which is something that you took action with a year and a half before,
and
started building up and putting these people, places, practices, putting them in place and having them available to you to take advantage of. Because earlier in this conversation, you said that it was hard for you to ask for help.
Oh, so hard.
As a young man. It wasn't something that you were comfortable with, which I think is totally normal. Like that's all of us, right? That's
I felt like if I asked for help, that was me admitting I was stupid.
Yeah.
Like the teacher told me in class.
And that's a part of the human experience. I think that's something that's in all of us, right? We tend to not get to that point. But you humbled yourself and found a way to do that. And by doing that, you learned these skills. You learned these practices. You applied them to your life. Meditation, studying the Dharma, having a close network of people, like-minded people around you and in your circle and in your corner. Correct?
Yeah. I built a support army.
And by doing that, when you receive this news from the doctors, what did you do?
I threw myself into them. I threw myself into that support. I remember, just a shout out to the head of our program at SEC, Lori Clancy. She was the first person.
That woman gets mentioned more on the show than anybody
else.
Yeah.
She told me, and I think I mentioned this on the last appearance, but when I came and told her, she said, I can tell that you're getting depressed about this. I can tell this is hitting you hard. But she looked at me, she got forceful. She got stern with me. She said, you are not going to go into that dark place. I know that's where your mind is going. You're not going to do it. I'm not going to let you. You're not going to go down that road of depression. And I said, okay, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try. It was hard, but she put her foot down and forbade from going down that road of depression that I was on a crash course to. And yeah, I called people. I called you. I called my other friends. I talked to people. One thing that was always so hard was to tell people how I was feeling. Told them how scared I was. And I meditated like crazy. Almost a year of meditation straight.
How many days in a row you got?
I think it's 168.
That's what's up, man.
And I can add it in.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you do it this time.
Before I had 109, but I lost that account. But those days still count. So technically,
268 days in a row.
Yeah,
It's paying off.
It's paying off.
Yeah. And shortly after you received the news, right? You were able to take advantage of some pretty phenomenal community resources in our area. You got connected with some folks that are doing
Division of the Blind out of Asheville.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal help. They hooked me up.
What do they do?
They hooked me up with services. They hooked me up with. They covered my transportation, Freedom Taxi, local taxi service. Call them. They provided me with assistive technologies that changed the game. I went from a B student to a straight A student with the resources they provided with me.
Because of the tools that you had available to you.
Tricked out laptop, screen readers, magnifiers galore. They gave me my cane. They gave me the cane training. Everything I needed.
Yeah, leading up to this point, you were like stumbling around campus.
Yeah.
Finding your way around. You couldn't recognize people's faces.
Mm-mm.
Right? Like what was it like before you connected with Division of the Blind? What was it like, just everyday things that we take advantage of, that like the getting around campus? I mean, for those of you who haven't been to STC, there's a lot of steps. It's built on the side of a mountain, right?
Yeah.
Just to get from building to building, just to get from building to building from somebody who's attached to this cellular device all the time, it can be difficult, right?
Right.
So before leading up to connecting with the services of the blind, you didn't have you didn't use a walking stick.
I didn't.
Because you didn't know that you needed one.
I didn't know I needed one. I knew I was having trouble, but I wasn't. I didn't know that would help, and I definitely didn't want to accept that help.
Yeah, and so they were able to connect you with a laptop that is suitable for somebody with this type of disability.
Mm-hmm.
They were able to connect you with tools that you can use in the classroom to see things like the blackboard or the screen that's used in a college classroom. They were able to connect you with transportation,
Mm-hmm.
right, around town, because you were told you'll never be able to drive.
Exactly.
I think that might change, though.
They're not going to get put license in my hand.
Bear with me, man, with the technology that's coming, man. And they were able to kind of introduce this walking stick to you.
Life-changing.
Yeah, but dude, we had this conversation when they were talking about it. You were hesitant,
Mm-hmm.
correct?
I was really hesitant.
Uh-huh.
I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to use a cane. I didn't want that indicator of, hey, look, this guy's vulnerable. He can't see.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have to explain to the people, oh, you have been using a cane since. Why now? Why do you need it now?
But you humbled yourself to do it.
Mm-hmm.
We had this conversation. You remember I was telling you about my friend Greg from Detroit?
Greg.
My man Greg, he has something very similar to you. He lived down in Tampa. I think he's back in Detroit now. But he had something very similar to you, and he's from a rough neighborhood, difficult neighborhood to live in the heart of Detroit. And he refused to use his walking stick because of what you just said, because of the vulnerability. He was like, listen, man, if I walk around with that walking stick, I'm a target. I'm going to get mugged and I'm going to get robbed for whatever I got on me because they know that I'm vulnerable. But you humbled yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
You picked it up.
I picked it up and ran with it.
And
Not literally.
What's life like using the stick now?
It gave me a bit of freedom that I was forced to give up with my visual disability. It gave me a sense of safety. I could go downstairs and not be terrified. I could walk around and not have to explain to someone, oh, I'm sorry for running into you. I can't see. I wouldn't have to have that initial conversation with people of, oh, just so you know, I'm vision impaired. You know, they could see it. They could see the glasses. They could see the cane. I wouldn't have to have that initial, this is what's wrong with me. This is why I might not be able to do this or whatever. It was so freeing. And it was so like mind-blowing how people reacted in actually a good way.
People react in like somewhat of a compassionate way where they'll see you coming, they'll hold the door open for you, or they'll
get out of the way.
Yeah, they'll step out of the way and kind of clear room for you. And I think that's like a good metaphor for life, man. You know, it's like these things that we're afraid of are 9 times out of 10 the answer to many of our problems, right? Like you just talked about how freeing it was.
And it just like 2 instances of like the first couple of weeks that I had my cane. The first time I went to SEC with it, a lady ran into me. She was on her phone. I could hear it because I could hear the ding of the Facebook Messenger.
Uh-huh.
And she started to like get mad before she looked up. She's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And it was like, "Yeah, it's okay." It was funny because it's like, wow.
Yeah.
Now I don't have to explain why I walk into people.
And just the level of independence, that feeling, right? To know that,
yes,
right? It's just like has to be just overwhelming to know that I see you around campus, bro. You ain't scared now.
Mm-mm.
There's nothing stopping you. This dude walks up and down 3 flights of stairs every single day in one building.
I have no fear with it now. It gave me that bit of freedom back.
Mm-hmm. Something that you had in a very long time.
Very, very long time.
Did you notice a difference in your grades? In your performance after gaining access to all of these tools?
I got on the president's list.
Uh-huh.
I got multiple academic awards, leadership awards, because I was able to, that freedom allowed me to really get involved. I am working on my second semester on the president's list.
Wow.
My grades drastically improved. Didn't have terrible grades, but if the universe put Division of the Blind in my path when I needed them, so my dreams didn't have to suffer because of this problem I was having.
But yeah, and that's like with all of the things that happen to you in your life. The two teachers, individuals in school, getting into the program at SEC,
You.
meeting your support systems, right?
Don't be modest. You.
Yeah, well, there's more than that. It's the organization, us together. People have come and gone, but it's the team, right? There's always a team. It's never just me and you.
Never.
It's never just me and you. There's always a team. But people have come and gone. People have graduated and moved on. But there's more than just us two.
Exactly.
That are doing it. But all those things came in at the right time.
The right time.
In your life.
But I'm going to brag on you a bit. You did come in my life in a crucial time. Because I've told you that when me and you met and when you started, I say, pestering me to come to refuge recovery meetings, I was severely depressed and suicidal. And my anxiety was out the roof. My depression was crazy. My vision was terrible. And I was contemplating suicide on the regular. And I was pretty decided that I was going to end it that weekend before I came to that refuge recovery meeting, that first one.
What made you change your mind after going to that meeting? What was different about about that room, about the people in that room, about what we were doing that changed your mind?
I guess when I walked in that room and the people that were around me that'd been through some heavy stuff welcomed me without judgment, without belittling me, without any sort of requirement, just welcomed me in and said, let's heal together. And I don't know, something about it was just the thing I needed. It was really powerful, and I'm still here. I'm here talking, so obviously I didn't go through with anything.
And you're still showing up. You're still doing the work at home in the group. You show up every Sunday night with us. What was it about the pestering that made you want to come?
I guess after a while, if you would just ask like once or twice, I would just have blown you off, because I was in a state where I didn't think no one gave a
like, this dude's just full of crap.
Yeah,
I don't need to hear it.
I don't need to hear it. He didn't really care about me. He just wants me to come to his little group thing. He didn't really give a crap about my existence, and you just kept on, and even after every excuse I gave you, I got a paper to write. Oh, I got homework to do. I don't drive. Oh, you'll give me a ride? I got to do something with my family. Every excuse. Finally, I was like, you know what? Fine. I feel like total garbage about myself. Why not just give it a go? So I took you up on your offer, and I'm glad I did.
What I'm glad you did too, Trevor. I really am. We've done a lot of good things for this community, for that campus. You've supported me in my recovery. You've helped me grow. You've helped me heal. And, in a short period of time, like we've only in the grand scheme of our existence, this lifetime, we've only been doing this for like 2 years, right?
Feels like so much longer.
It does. What'd you say? 168 days?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, that's a tiny piece of this enormous puzzle of life,
It is.
right? And we're going to continue to do it, We're going to continue to do it. So we were talking about all the things that were just there for you at the right point, at the right time of your life. And that's not the end of the story.
It's not.
One more thing came into your life. Not too long after you were given the news that, what do they say? Like you're legally blind?
Legally blind. Mm-hmm.
Not too long after you were given the news that you were legally blind. And you gained access to these phenomenal resources through the services of the blind and kind of began that healing process and that learning process on what life would be like with very, 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 very limited vision, what life would be like. But something happened. You met somebody.
I met somebody.
Somebody that has a tool. You're good right where you were.
So, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're talking about a lady that I'm so blessed to have met, because I never would have tried Eastside without her. Her name is Dr. Mary Sedgwick. She is an ambassador for Eastside, and I met her. Sorry for the Southern grammar. Through Open Door Center for Spiritual Living. Shout out to my Open Door people. Thank you so much for your support. I met a lady there through Open Door named Kate Graceland. Sorry if I get the last name wrong. I'm terrible with names. And she was just awesome. She taught like this class there, and eventually moved into our center to be a member of our center. She was one in Asheville. So supportive. She's another person that just saw something in me. And another example of the universe rearranging itself according to what I needed at that moment. And I accepted that, there's nothing, they don't even know what my vision problem is. They just said it's kind of like this other condition, so I can't really even say I have that. And so I don't know what's wrong with me. I just know I can't see. So I accepted it. I accepted that it was getting worse. But then Kate had told me that she had a friend who had tried these electronic glasses called Eastside that brought her vision back after 15 years of having a similar experience of mine. And I was like, yeah, okay. I had some of the top doctors not have any suggestions, but just a pair of glasses that are worth more than my house can be the quick fix.
Yeah, that doctor at Duke University didn't mention anything about Eastside, did he?
No. And I'd heard about them before once from a friend, but they had told me that they were like 15,000, 20,000 or something like that. So I didn't talk about it. I remember I didn't even tell you or many people that I was going to get to try them on. Because
No, the first time I heard about it, I think, was when you sent me the link to the video.
Yeah. And I was like, hey, I got to try these on.
Which, I mean, obviously for like just reasons, like you want to make sure that like
it works.
Yeah. And that,
I was so skeptical.
And that you have a realistic opportunity to getting your hands on a pair.
Exactly.
Like, why get your hopes up and everybody else's hopes up if it's something that's just too far out of reach? But what I've learned in this conversation with Trevor Gates is that nothing is out of reach.
Nothing's out of reach. I might be short, but nothing's out of reach. Maybe the top counter. But.
So what was it like to put these glasses on for the first time? She brought them to you?
Yeah, she brought them to me. She had a pair on herself. She had met me at after service at the Open Door Center for Spiritual Living. She had met me there. Her and Kate set up the test. She brought a pair of Eastside that for me to try on, and it was mind blowing. Like I said earlier in the show, I saw a person's eyes and face clearly as clear could possibly be for the first time in my life. Oh, well, not the first time in my life. First time in a long, long time in my life. First time I ever saw a person's eye color, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely incredible. I was shocked. My hopes were so low that I couldn't have pictured how.
Your hopes were low going into it.
Yeah, hopes were so low going into it, but boom, I read what would be considered fine print with ease with these things.
Mm-hmm.
They are like super futuristic. I know you got like a description of how they work there on your computer.
Mm-hmm.
And only way I've been really able to describe them is they are this super high tech glasses that look like something out of Star Trek, make me look like Geordi. Super high tech cameras that send the whole world to my brain at in real time at high definition, so I can see like every other person. But give them the rundown of how these things work, because I'm not a technical
This
person.
is pretty fascinating stuff. You're totally right. Like, you put them on, they definitely look like something out of the future. And so, like, in reading into Eastside, it says that Eastside uses a intelligent mix of optical and computer technology to stimulate the remaining photoreceptors in your eyes, sending more information to the brain and enhancing your ability to see. So it's incredible, man. I'm going to play the video again in just a second. So it says you wear them comfortably like a regular pair of glasses. How much do they weigh? Do they feel like a regular pair of glasses?
Honestly, they were not heavy at all. Like they look kind of bulky.
Mm-hmm. They look bulky. That's why I asked.
They're not heavy at all. Like I was able to wear them comfortably, and I could probably see myself wearing those 24/7.
It says that Eastside houses a high-speed, high-definition camera that captures everything the wearer is looking at. Advanced clinically validated algorithms optimize and enhance the footage of this camera. And the footage is then presented on two near-to-eye screens in real time with stunning clarity.
Stunning.
A handheld optical trackpad allows the user to refine the image further through a full suite of zoom, contrast, and focus controls. So you have a little remote control?
If you watch the video again, you'll see a wire coming down from my ear.
Mm-hmm.
That goes to the remote control.
And the remote control gives you the ability to adjust the image that you're looking at.
Oh, yeah. Like,
so you can
so much control.
You can adjust the contrast if you're in low light or highlight conditions.
I can download a PDF to them and sit here like, I don't know if the camera can see me, but
yeah, go ahead.
I want to show them with my head motion.
Uh-huh.
The old head motion here.
Do it.
I would be like sitting here with the glasses on my face, and I could download a PDF to them like for school and be like this. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, George Washington. You know,
yeah.
like VR or something.
Yeah.
And they can hook up to a projector so I can see what is projecting inside my glasses. They can hook up to a TV. They can take pictures.
Yeah. It sounds like augmented reality. It sounds like something that like a lot of the new cell phones are going towards and working on creating, but an augmented reality experience. It has patented biometric tilt capability, which ensures that a wearer always has access to their native peripheral vision and can be completely mobile. It has 3 positions, up, midway, and down. The user has complete control over how immersive or mobile of an experience that they'd prefer. So you can full capability. It really sounds like an augmented reality experience. Mm-hmm. That
I will say this, that the peripheral is limited.
Mm-hmm.
That I will still be cane dependent, eventually guide dog dependent.
So you still will use your cane.
To get around, because they don't want you. I was told that they don't want you to walk around with them, just completely without any safety precaution, because there's no peripheral and you only get a small window. So cars and walls and stuff and small window schmack.
Yeah, I bet you on Eastside version 2.0.
I'll be able to see you'll
be driving
thing.
Yeah, I'll be teaching you how to drive, kid.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna run this video one more time, just so anybody that's tuning in can take a look. It's about 1.5 minutes long. This is the first time that Trevor put the glasses on, and then when we come back from the video, we'll talk a little bit about what it's gonna take for him to own a pair of these things.
Oh.
Can you see those and read those?
Calendar. Oh. How convenient. End of first semester classes. Whoa.
When was the last time you read a calendar?
10+ years ago.
Again, what do you think of these glasses?
Mind blowing.
And how do you think these are going to benefit you?
It'll give me some freedom I haven't had. I'll be able to see my mother's face again.
What about with school?
This will take away some of the constant struggle. This will mean I'll be able to actually see the teacher.
And how does that make you feel?
Like I've just been introduced to a new world that I haven't known for a while. A long, long, long while.
Would you like to get these glasses?
I'd love to get these glasses. I think I need these glasses. I know I need these glasses.
Okay.
It's quite overwhelming.
Yeah.
I thought I'd never be able to have anything to do with the visual world again.
Yeah, so that's what it looks like. Now let's get to the gist of this conversation. Is what is it going to take to get you a pair of these glasses, to give you this vision, to give you this opportunity to continue doing what you're doing? What's it going to take, man?
It's going to take all of you. It's going to take all of you lifting me up and supporting me. I need all of you. I need my people to rally around me, to help me reclaim my vision, help me reclaim my freedom. Help me see the world again. Help me see my family again. Help me be more me than I've been able to be in so many years. I lost connection with the visual world, and that's a real loss. I know there's people that haven't experienced vision loss before. It's a real loss that you have to grieve, and this is a major opportunity for me to reclaim the visual world as my own, and see the world for all the beauty that it is.
The glasses cost $8,500.
Mm-hmm.
They're not covered by Medicaid.
Not covered by Medicaid.
The only way that you can get them is if you pay or raise enough money.
Yep.
Pay out of pocket or raise the money on your own. So you got a campaign going.
Got a campaign going
on Eastside's website.
You got the link?
The link's posted in the comments. I posted it like 3 times already.
Good.
It's $8,500. You've had this thing going for about 10 days or 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Maybe edging 3.
Edging 3 weeks.
It's not long.
You've raised $2,100.
Mm-hmm.
You're 25% to your goal.
I have some amazing people.
32 people donated to your cause already.
I love you all.
And somebody close to you has offered to do a matching donation.
Mm-hmm. A very great person who has been supportive through this whole thing, is gonna put up $500 and is challenging anyone to match him on that $500, and you would be the most amazing person ever. I love you all for everything you've given to my fundraiser so far, and I love you for the help that you can give me for going forward.
And there's also a couple of lovely ladies.
Yep.
I got her here. There's also a couple of lovely ladies who have volunteered to be of service towards this campaign.
These wonderful ladies are two of the members of the Open Door for Spiritual Living family that I've been so blessed to have around me. One is an incredible artist, painter, and the other one does great glass work, another great artist, and they're going to be making some fantastic pieces that you can purchase, and all the profit goes towards helping me see once again.
And they are Carol Johnson and Kathy Ratcliffe are the two who are going to be creating this art.
And they are okay with giving out their numbers, so you can read them off.
If you want to buy some art, that all the funding will go directly towards Trevor's quest for vision. You can reach Carol Johnson at 828-200-0170 and Kathy Ratcliffe at 828-526-6480. Again, the link to his campaign is down in the comments of this section. For the Audible podcast, it'll be posted anywhere and everywhere on our website and on the email newsletter that goes out. If you follow the link, it tells Trevor's story in pretty full detail, along with a copy of this video that we've played a couple times tonight that will show you exactly what it is that he's working toward. So in saying all this, I'm confident. You're confident. You're gonna get these glasses, right? It's just a matter of time. You're gonna get these glasses, and you got a lot of stuff going on.
A lot of stuff.
I want to talk a little bit about like the things that you have done and experienced through collegiate recovery.
Oh yeah, this is a great part.
What collegiate recovery has done for your life. And then I also want to talk a little bit about what your long-term goals are.
Okay.
Where you're going next, but what has your experience been with collegiate recovery? And to like set it up a little bit, we started doing some of our refuge recovery groups over at Western Carolina University a year and a half ago or something.
Hillside Grind.
And that had led to being given some opportunities to get involved with collegiate recovery. And we went to the first Mid-Atlantic Regional Collegiate Recovery Conference last year.
Where I met Jay Harris, but neither of us remember.
And that kind of like planted,
Love you, Jay.
That kind of like planted some seeds for you. And you continued nurturing those relationships with those individuals and like putting yourself out there. So what do you got going on with collegiate recovery, like on a national level, man?
Well, to roll it back, with the support of these practices and the people that were around me helping me grow, I was able to get really, really involved. Me and you put in a lot of work to bring SCC's collegiate recovery program to reality. And on a national level, I got to go through the help of the Ammon Foundation and ARHE, Association of Recovery in Higher Education. I got to be SCC's and WCU's representative student ambassador and got a paid-for ride to Houston, Texas last July. My first time on an airplane, my first time in Texas. I don't like hot weather, but I loved this trip. Gosh, it was so awesome. I was so terrified. I went there. I met some wonderful people. Shout out to Tim. Shout out to my boy, Antoine. Hope you're watching, brother. We're going to go do big things, my man. I got there, and I got on the plane. Well, my parents drove me to Atlanta. I got on the plane, scared out of my mind.
Well, yeah, let's get into that a little, because you had never been on an airplane before.
No, never.
Much less traveled alone.
Yeah, oh yeah, I forgot to be completely alone.
To a different state.
Mm-hmm.
Just you and your walking stick.
Just me and my walking stick.
Board in an airplane. And there was some anxiety.
Oh yeah, so
a pretty
bad.
high level of nervousness leading up to that departure.
Oh yes.
Right? But once again, Trevor Gates put himself out there, committed to going, committed to doing it.
I put in some work
To
ease my anxiety.
And what did you get in return?
I got a life-changing trip that had that resulted in long-lasting relationships, friendships, so many great things. When I went there, I'll give a little short bleep, or however long you want me to talk about the first trip. I get on the plane, scared out of my mind, alone, and I land. We land in Houston. I get picked up by some great people who were also student ambassadors, and brought to University of Houston. Get to my room and whatnot, and get myself unpacked. Blah blah blah. Well, I was so tired, and I don't know what it was. I still to this day don't know what was wrong with me, but I wasn't on the plane long enough to have jet lag, but I felt sick that first night after being on the plane. I guess it was maybe nerves, but I was really tired, and usually because of my severe visual impairment, out of courtesy for everyone else, especially in public places, when I use the restroom, I make sure to clean up thoroughly, and sorry for the potty talk, but I might pee on the seat and not see it. But I was not that mindful this go around, and because I was tired and drowsy and feeling sick, I peed on the seat, and I go to bed, didn't think nothing of it. But I get up in the morning, and I walk out of the room. Walk out of the room, and my not at that time he wasn't my roommate, but it was like these suits with like 2 rooms. The dorms were like 2 rooms, but 1 bathroom. I walked out, and my neighbor, who is now a really close friend, like a brother to me, Antoine Mills, confronted me, and he said, hey dude, you peed on the seat last night. I just wanted to say, hey, that's not cool. Can you be a little more mindful next time, a little more considerate? He called me out on it. And if you're wondering, if anyone's wondering, well, did he not see your cane? Was he not paying attention to that glaring reason? I didn't have it on me. I familiarize myself with my environment, especially when I'm staying somewhere overnight, so I don't have to pop my cane out just to walk to the bathroom. So I learn where those places in my environment are. So when I walked out, I didn't to do my thing in the morning. I didn't have my cane. Obviously, didn't have my glasses on, so he had no cue that I was vision impaired. And I didn't tell him. I didn't oh, I can't see. That's why. I said, okay, dude, I'm so sorry. Won't happen again, bro. And went on my way. Got ready. Well, it just so happened that we started to leave at the same time. I'd gotten dressed, showered, and I walked out this time with my glasses, with my cane, and he saw that, oh, this dude can't see. The vibe was totally different between him. It wasn't tense. We were talking. It was cool. And he turned out to be a major help through that whole thing. I don't know how good the trip would have went if I wouldn't have met Antoine, because he led me around the whole time. And later that day, we were outside. We were taking a break, and he says to me, "Hey, dude, I just wanted to apologize for my comments earlier. I didn't realize there was factors that caused you to do what I called you out for, and that you weren't just being inconsiderate or rude." And he felt really bad about it. And I was like, "Dude, it's all good. I totally understand. I wasn't mad." And we spent the whole time together, hanging out, me and Antoine, and we realized. See, I'm going to give a little bit of what I'll talk about here in a minute. But me and Antoine are partners right now on a big project in the Collegiate Recovery Leadership Academy through ARHE and Project Safe US. And that happened because during this time of me and him spending all this time together, we were all, he led me around. So we were all ways together during that week that we were in Houston. And Antoine is African American, and I'm blind. And come to find out, when you put those two demographics together, people look at you like you're a two-headed unicorn. is how Antoine worded it when he asked me, "I know you can't see, but have you realized the looks people give us when we walk around? Have you noticed the things people will do that's a little rude to both me and you?" And, like walking away in the middle of me talking to them when it's obvious I can't see that they walked away. Like, bro, really? Not talking to me or not, and talking to him, not talking to him and talking to me, passing us both up, the looks, stuff like that. So I met a really good friend there, but I also found something that I believed collegiate recovery needed. Collegiate recovery needed to be more socially aware of the problems facing people in recovery, because recovery is not just one issue, it's holistic. Everything affecting that person affects their recovery, so collegiate recovery has to be aware of those issues. So after going and during the conference, getting to sit in on the social justice talks, they talked about racism, they talked about sexism, but the only time ableism, discrimination of people with disabilities, was ever mentioned was just in a list, like when they were listing off ableisms. So I hadn't talked to Antoine about this yet. I had the idea, and I started asking around, "Hey, have you ever had someone talk about this?" I asked all the ladies, "What do you think of this?" The ladies that did the talks, and I got the idea. And I told to Antoine, he's like, "Dude, yes, that is an awesome idea. I want to," he said, "Can I be a part of it with you? I want to bring awareness to how racism and ableism relate so closely, because I've seen how we're both treated in our experience together." And I said, yes, I want you to be a part of this. And now, being in the next thing I'm going to be doing, since me and him both got accepted into the Collegiate Recovery Leadership Academy, our mentor, Patrice, is going to guide us both to presenting at Boston University about ableism, hopefully in a keynote presentation next July at the 10th National Collegiate Recovery Conference. The past one was the 9th National Collegiate Recovery Conference. And just to throw it back to the Eastside, one thing I want to do with Eastside, evolving this this collegiate recovery journey, is I want to see the crowd when I'm talking to them. I want to connect with those people and show them that the stories me and Antoine will tell, the information we'll give them, can change lives, can make people feel included in the collegiate recovery world.
You want to be able to truly experience that.
Exactly.
Being on that stage.
I want to see their faces.
And here we are again, little quiet Trevor Gates, who was told that he is not cut out to be a college student, is going to be presenting on stage at the National Collegiate Recovery Conference to show the level of growth that you've achieved, the things that you've accomplished, again, in such a short period of time, bro.
Very short.
2
It feels
years?
it's so much packed in those 2 years. I'm sure we're forgetting something.
We're forgetting a lot, man. We're forgetting a lot, but to tackle these challenges and achieve the things that you're talking about, and then continue to have these goals. And I think that a big part of your story, and I don't even know if you are aware of this, but in the short period of time that I've known you, the things that stand out to me are you've always had goals, right? Both long-term and short-term. Everything that you do is moving in a direction towards achieving something. I was listening to a podcast last week with a boxer. You ever heard of Tyson Fury?
Mm-hmm.
He's a boxer.
Yep.
He was on a podcast
He's a
last
fury.
week. He was talking about his struggles with mental health. And he was a heavyweight champion of the world. I think he beat Vladimir Klitschko.
You probably butchered that.
I think I did. 2 or 3 years ago. He was the heavyweight champion of the world, and he walked away from boxing, and he gained a ton of weight, and he began drinking and using cocaine heavily, and that just spiraled into like this state of depression. And he was like, he weighed like 340 pounds, just so out of weight in a pretty short period of time. And in his podcast, he was very open about his experience. And he talked about the level of depression that he faced and those internal thoughts of suicide, and really, really close to like taking action. And when he
Relate so much.
when he decided that he was deciding to come back to boxing was kind of what like led to his transformation in his healing process. And the biggest thing that he attributed that to, he didn't take any type of medication at all. He said that the number one thing that he would suggest is obviously a healthy lifestyle, eating, working out, just the basics of as far as like taking care of yourself physically and mentally. Having a positive mental attitude towards whatever our experience is. But he said the most valuable part of his story, his recovery process, was setting goals. Daily goals, weekly, monthly, setting short-term and long-term goals, and then continuing to achieve those goals, but then reassessing his situation and setting more goals. It's like we talk about in recovery and mental health, wellness, we talk about finding our passions and finding that thing. You know, for me, it's this podcast, meditation, but finding what it is that drives you, that you would do if you didn't get a paycheck, you know, finding that meaning in your life. And what he's saying is that by setting these goals it allows you to find it, to achieve what it is that you want in your life. And it will create that level of contentment because you have achieved that goal, because you've accomplished what you set out to do, because you've worked so freaking hard to get to where you are. And that's what I see in you, bro. That's what I see in you. You always have goals, right? You always have. Whether they were clear to you at that time or not, going to college, right?
Mm-hmm.
Getting involved in things, having such a high standard for your academia,
To probably an unhealthy level.
for the work that you do. You hold yourself to a high standard. You set high goals. And that I think that he's onto something. I think that Tyson Fury's onto something. I think that there's something there to have that finished product, that thing that you're working towards, but then reassessing it and doing it again and doing it again and doing it again. So with all that being said, you're going on stage, you're going to be presenting at this this conference. What are your goals, man? What are your short-term goals? What are your long-term goals? Personally, professionally, scholarly?
Well, scholarly, academically, education-wise, my goal is to graduate in May, walk that stage for that college stage, let myself feel that pride for a little while, and then cry because of all the people that helped me get there. Used my e-sight to see my mother's face as tears roll down her eyes as she sees her son that was never supposed to be up there walk that stage. And then I'm gonna go on and go to Western Carolina University and pursue my bachelor's in social work with a minor in sociology, master's in social work, and then a doctorate in clinical psychology. And I'm going to personally, the short-term goal personally is my goal, and it's a continuous goal, is to find a new motivation in life. I know what that motivation is now, but I'm continuously discovering it. For years, my motivation was proving people wrong. That was my motivation. My motivation was rebelling against what the system deemed me worthy of being. Shocking the system, if you will. That was my motivation. That was my fire. That was my, screw you, I'm going to do it because you told me I couldn't, That's who I was. That's what got me up is, okay, teacher in middle school called me stupid in the middle of class. I'm going to prove her wrong. This lady that's supposed to encourage me to chase my dreams told me that I wasn't meant for college. I'm going to prove you wrong. This person told me that college wasn't for me. I'm going to prove you wrong. That was my motivation. I've done that. I can happily say that I've proved every single doubter wrong and proved myself wrong. Because at many times, I doubted myself. Many times, I didn't see what these wonderful people saw in me. It took them pushing me for me to do it. So my short-term goal, was also a long-term goal, is to connect with what's going to motivate me now. Because that part's, it's time to move on from that part, from proving people wrong. Even though I'll always have that fire in me, I've already done that. So now my motivation is I'm going to make my entire existence, everything I do in school, in my professional life, personal life, a pursuit to bettering the lives of others. I know my life's purpose. I was put here to help people. I was put here to improve the quality of life of others. And that's my short-term goal. It's my long-term goal. It's my constant goal, continuous goal. And I'm going to do that by bringing awareness to ableism. I'm going to do that by growing my relationships, by getting these degrees, accepting myself as much as I can, and leaning on my support system because I can't recover alone.
What do you, when it's all said and done, right, and you're finished with your coursework, and you've graduated with all those degrees that you're talking about,
All of them, all the credentials.
yeah, all those credentials, what do you want to do with it?
Well, that's one part of my journey. I don't have a concrete, this is my end place I want to be. Part of me has big dreams that can definitely come true. They're just lot harder to reach. Like, I want to open up my own facility, residential and outpatient facility, where it'll be like a one-stop shop of recovery services, mental health and substance use treatment services, where people come no matter their ability to pay, and they come and they get some of the best treatment to better their lives and then give back to the world. That's a big dream.
But you had a lot of big dreams and nothing stopped you so far.
Nothing stopped me.
Right.
Basic dreams, I don't know. I don't know what exactly type of agency. If that dream isn't what's to be, I don't know exactly what kind of agency I want to be in. I know I'll probably the reason I set these degrees up the way I have is I want doors open for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I want opportunities to experience multiple parts of this field. So that's why I'm getting these specific degrees. And I want to spend a lot of time in substance use, a lot of time with mental health. I want to spend a lot of time with recovery. I want to spend a lot of time in private practice. I want to do a little bit of it all.
You have my full confidence that you're going to be able to do all that, bro.
Thank you, dude.
Trevor Gates, I'm very proud of you, dude, for everything that you've done, man. Let's we have to start winding it down. This has been the longest podcast we've ever done.
I talk a lot, sorry.
I love it, man. I love it. Just to reset, if anybody is capable of helping you regain your vision through Eastside, there's a live donation fundraising link that's in the comments of this podcast. It's on your Facebook page. It's on your Twitter. It's on your Instagram. You can't miss it. We have a backer, somebody who is willing to do a matching donation up to $500. That'll put you over $3,000 if you get those two $500 donations. If somebody is that willing, capable of contributing to your cause, follow that link, message me, message Trevor, let us know, and we have a $500 backer that is willing to match that donation. Trevor Gates, you're a freaking badass, my friend.
Thank you.
Don't let anybody ever tell you different. So, with that being said, I have one last comment to all of our Kickstarter backers and those of you who, like we're asking to help Trevor Gates, for those of you who believed in me and Caleb, who believed in NC Raw and the work that we're doing, the merchandise that we offered has began to start rolling in, and we're going to be shipping out packages next week to you guys. We have some nice t-shirts, we have some NC Raw stickers, and we have some like postcards. that are all going to be going in like a care pack for those of you who donated to us. I got one of the t-shirts right here that just came in. So the front of it, it has
I'm sure it looks awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty dope, man. It has our logo on it. And the back of the shirt, because we wanted it to be, we didn't want it to just be an NC Raw t-shirt, right? Because we have a link up where you can purchase NC Raw merchandise. So we wanted it to be unique to the Kickstarter donors. So on the back of it, it has our website, ncraw.life, and it says Kickstarter 2018. So NC Raw on the front, website, Kickstarter 2018 on the back.
Freaking sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty dope, man. These things will be going out. If you didn't get any, I do not have any extras. I ordered one for every person who completed the survey. And however, you can purchase NC Raw merchandise. You can get the same shirt just without the Kickstarter thing on the back. You can get that through our website on Spreadshirts, our store, our Spreadshirt store. So any parting words, Trevor Gates, before we wrap this baby up?
Accept that you are not your thoughts, you're not your mistakes, and you're all amazing. And I love you for every single dollar and every single share you can give me. I'm going to give you my signature sign off.
Hold on, I got to talk. Every time, so Trevor comes to all of our refuge recovery groups, and every time he shares, that's his signature sign off. He signs off with the
double
P sign. That's when we know he's done sharing. So
I don't say done, I just go.
Yeah, he does not say done. So thank you guys for listening to NC Raw, North Carolina Recovery Always. All of our content is available by visiting our website at www.ncraw.life. While you're there, subscribe to our website. At the end of each one of these shows, we create a nice little newsletter that contains additional information about the guest or information about what's taking place in the world of NC Raw. So subscribe to it. It'll notify you every time we have a new show, and it will contain all of the links to the information that we discussed on the podcast, as well as ways to listen, links to listen on all of your favorite apps like Spotify, Google, Apple, all of those streaming application sites. So subscribe to the website. I've been working a little bit on revamping the website and adding some new elements to it. So while you're there, after you subscribe, just kind of like check it out and see what's new on the website. So we want to thank today's musical contributors, Rival, whose work can be found by searching Rival 727 on YouTube, Facebook, and SoundCloud. And then also, I want to give a huge shout out to my dude, Scott Elliott. He is a friend of a friend, or a family member of a friend. One of my close friends, Kelsey Elliott, classmate, recovery rock star. It's her little brother. He's out of Franklin, North Carolina. He's making some phenomenal music. We want to recognize local artists. If you're making music that shares a positive message, music that we would like to play on the podcast, shoot us a link, send us an email. We'll play it on a show. So my dude Scott, I have not personally met him. We've only contacted via like social media, but he is doing some pretty solid work out of Franklin, North Carolina. He recently lost somebody that was very, very close to him to an opioid-related overdose. And he's really responded to it in a way that promotes health and promotes wellness. So this is his latest track. You can find his work on Facebook and on YouTube by searching Scott Allen Elliott. I'll also contain a link to his YouTube site in the newsletter that goes out. We're going to close the show out by his latest work titled Knocking on Your Door by Scott Allen Elliott. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Peace and love, y'all.
Peace and love, y'all.